everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Maria, and in this video I will be sharing with you all the worst purchases that I made in my 20s. If you like this video, please make sure to give this video a like for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe down below for more content on minimalism, frugal living and personal finance, and other lifestyle videos. Also be sure to hit the bell notification so that you'll get notified when I post new content. So let's get on with the worst purchases that I made in my 20s. Just a little bit of background about me. I'm currently 29 years old and I'm turning 30 in April, and so I thought that this will be a great time to talk to you all about the worst purchases that I made. I also made a best purchases video, so if you're interested, I'll link that up top or down below, so be sure to check that out. So I thought that this will be a great time to talk about the worst purchases that I made, because I've made quite a number of those and I want you to all learn from the mistakes that I made so that you won't have to make them yourself. One of the worst purchases that I made in my 20s was buying a Prada backpack because it didn't suit my needs at all. I bought it pre-loved back in 2017 or 2018, I think. I bought it pre-loved, and this was back in the YouTube days when having designer backpacks was all the rage. I know YouTubers that I had watched had the Chanel backpacks, the Louis Vuitton ones as well. There was also the vintage Louis Vuitton bag that I really wanted, which was a lot more practical because it had thicker straps and it fit a lot more items than the other newer ones that I had seen. But instead I chose to go the more affordable route, but it didn't really suit the needs that I had. In terms of my needs, I wanted it to fit a water bottle as well as a laptop for when I go into work, but it didn't even fit the water bottle that I had. Even before I bought the backpack pre-loved, I had a little bit of self-doubt whether or not it would fit the amount of stuff that I needed it to, but I chose to ignore that and bought it still, which was clearly a mistake. I had looked on the website, but it didn't even close properly to fit my water bottle. I'll try to find a picture of what it looked like, but it was the Prada Tesoro backpack. I think it was the canvas one. It didn't fit my laptop or my water bottle. Granted, my water bottle's fairly big, it's 2 liters, but even like a 1 liter one, it doesn't even fit that. So clearly that was a mistake on my end. So I decided to resell that backpack and I still got my money back, but just going through the hassle of having to look online and pay for it and having to find another buyer who would buy that item from me, it was just really such a hassle. From that mistake, I learned what I needed to come in a bag. That first, it needs to fit the amount of items that I wanted it to, such as my laptop and my water bottle, which is the bare minimum. And luckily I found a vintage Celine shoulder bag which can fit all of that, and so I've been really happy with that purchase. From that product purchase, I learned to not jump the gun and purchase an item, especially if I'm having self-doubts about it and I'm not entirely 100% sold, because really you're gonna end up spending more time and spend effort into getting rid of that item. So just save yourself the hassle and don't go for it. The next first purchases that I made, and this kind of goes hand in hand, were fast fashion shoes as well as uncomfortable shoes. So let's go with the fast fashion shoes first. I bought a pair of Zara boots that was knee-high and that looked really cool with my skinny jeans and my leather jacket. But when I was wearing it, it started pouring down rain one afternoon. And I thought, okay, let me just keep walking and just head on home. But after a while, I felt my feet were starting to get wet, and it was because of the boots. The boots was leaking water. It did not protect my feet at all. And so this was a terrible purchase. It looked cool and it went with my outfit, but really when the time that I needed it most to keep my feet warm and dry, it did not do its job. And so that was one of the worst purchases that I made from a fast fashion retailer. So now I just try to invest in quality items and just not really go for the look of it and because it's cheap, because really you're gonna end up paying for it in the long run. To go along with that would be uncomfortable shoes. Now personally for me, this would be more of the heels that I bought early in my professional career, because I thought that it made me look more put together and people would take me a lot more seriously because I was dressed really professional and I looked like part of the job. But really, that's not what people care about at all. People care about the ideas that you bring to the table, what you have to say, and it's not about what you look like. At the end of it, don't spend your hard-earned money purchasing fast fashion shoes that won't keep your feet warm or dry, or even uncomfortable shoes just because you want to look seen and you want to look more put together, because it's not about what you look like, but it's more about the contributions that you make. Another worst purchase that I made in my 20s was a GoPro. As I had mentioned in my top purchases in my 20s video, I traveled a lot in my 20s. I went to so many places and learned a lot of really cool things and met a lot of really cool people as well. But through those travels, I thought that I wanted to own a pair of GoPro because I wanted it to capture all of the things that I was doing. But really, this was a really bad purchase for me. First of all, I thought that this was a pretty bad purchase because it was super expensive. I think I bought it for like almost $400, and I only used it during one trip, which was when I went to the Philippines. I went to go to the beaches there and I went swimming a lot, and I used it underwater, which was perfectly fine, which it's one of the things that it's known for. But since then, throughout my other travels to those countries, to other countries that I've been to, I didn't even really bring or use my GoPro because I was able to capture all the things that I wanted to in my camera or on my phone. And I didn't really use my GoPro to capture more action type videos because it's more about the exploration, eating, immersing myself in the culture for me, and I didn't want to have that extra piece of gadget that I have to take care of during that time. I still have my GoPro somewhere in storage, and so maybe once we're all able to travel again and we can go to other countries, maybe I'll reconsider using that GoPro. But in the meantime, yeah, I think that it would be one of the worst purchases that I made just because I didn't really get a lot of use out of it, and I bought into the hype of thinking that I needed a GoPro to capture all the memories when a camera and my phone would suffice. Another worst purchase that I made in my 20s was buying into influencer trends, whether it be skincare trends to makeup trends to fashion trends, which was the main culprit for me. Before I got into minimalism, I bought a ton of fast fashion items because I saw an influencer wearing it, or I was inspired by a celebrity who had a similar look, but I wanted to get it at a cheaper price. Eventually, my closet ended up getting filled with tons of items that I didn't even wear, and I was feeling really overburdened and confused, and I didn't know what my essential style was at the end of it because I was getting so many items and I was incorporating pieces from so many influencers that I had liked when I didn't even think about what style really represented me. And so through minimalism, I was able to declutter a lot of items, give things away, donate it, or sell it, and I was able to hone in on the style for me and what I felt comfortable in. It's a lesson learned for me, especially knowing now what style represents me, what I'm comfortable wearing, instead of getting influenced left and right and purchasing so many items that doesn't represent who I am and what I'm aiming for. The last worst purchase that I made in my 20s was a snowboard and all of the equipment that goes along with that. Why do I consider that to be one of the worst purchases that I made? I think that it's one of the worst purchases that I made because I made it during a time when I had other priorities to deal with, such as my actual tuition, my rent, my food, and all of that stuff that I needed to do when I was still in university. Instead, I used the precious money that I was able to earn during the summertime and used that to buy snowboard and equipment that I would only be able to use for a season, for a winter season. Now, my snowboard and all of my equipment, such as my helmet, my boots, my bindings, etc., it's just sitting at my parents' garage. Granted, I'm still able to use it if I choose to do so during the winter season and go snowboarding, but really, I haven't really touched that in years and it's just sitting there. But I'm grateful to have that equipment should I choose to go out and go snowboarding, and I'm grateful that I was able to learn how to go snowboarding and have that skill now moving forward should I want to go snowboarding or do that in the future. So those are the worst purchases that I made in my 20s. If you like this video, please make sure to give this video a like for the YouTube algorithm. Comment down below on what your worst purchases are so that I don't feel as bad with the worst purchases that I made. As well as subscribe to my channel for more content on minimalism, frugal living, and personal finance. I also post styling videos, especially for those with petite figures and other lifestyle videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you all have a great day. Bye!